You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
And away we go for the Friday edition of Leafs Morning Take. It is November 15th, so the halfway point of month number 2 of the NHL season. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill. How we feeling, Rosie?
Well, collared shirt this morning, Nicholas. You're looking very dapper, my guy. Good for you.
I wanted to look dapper and good for our guest today.
Yeah, he's kind of,
Coley.
a little bit showtime, isn't this one?
Yeah, Coley Campbell's coming on today, so I wanted to look good. I didn't want to look like my scrub self wearing a sweatshirt on
I think
the show.
That's a good choice.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. And thank you for actually realizing that this is me dressed up wearing a golf shirt. No, I actually like to dress up quite a bit, but excited for today's show, excited for the weekend. There's a lot to cover. I was watching hockey for the majority of Thursday night, which I normally do. And Connor McDavid, man, I just felt like it was going to happen in Toronto, but thankfully it did not. Gets .1000 against Luke Schenn and the Nashville Predators. Did you catch that last night?
Yeah, I did. It's impressive, man. And then, just for the cherry on top, how about that dish in overtime? He's disgusting.
Ridiculous.
I don't care who you cheer for. You got to respect the fact that someone like that is playing during your era. There's been eras of hockey where there isn't a guy like that playing, like a top one hand, top 5 generationally talented player that you get to watch in real time do stuff, whether he plays for your team or not. That's pretty cool. And I'm glad they didn't empty the benches and come over and in Toronto during that game. So glad to get it over with in Edmonton.
Did you catch my article from earlier today on the LeafsNation.com?
No, I had early morning ice session, then one kid's home sick, and I just only got so much time on my hands to read all your stuff, Nick. What did you say?
I didn't actually expect you to say yes, but the title, with 2026 free agency looming, Connor McDavid deserves the Taylor Swift treatment in Toronto. You want to hear my first couple lines?
Yes.
Fingers crossed Saturday night's visit to Scotiabank Arena will be the second to last time, at least in the regular season, that Connor McDavid will be a member of the opposing team. In 228 short days, the Edmonton Oilers captain will be eligible to sign a contract extension. Additionally, in 593 days, the best player in the world could become an unrestricted free agent, which could pave the way for him to be a member of his childhood team.
Wishful thinking, my friend. It's just not happening with
no, I know.
With Leon being locked up. It would be an all-time dick move to get to the finals, to get to game 7, to not quite get it done, to have Leon extend, and then he just bails. I would love it more than anything, but it could happen. They could make it happen, but it's just, I don't know. I kind of had this sliver of hope that maybe both of them would want to come to Toronto, which would just be insanity. They live here in the off season. They train here. Connor's from here. Try something different, but it's a pipe dream now.
It is. I should mention just line 3, just for good measure. I said, admittedly, this is a dream scenario that only I'm dumb enough to write about, but hell, stranger things have happened. If Gretzky could be traded and Kyle Dubas could double dip on acquiring Dennis Malgin, anything's possible.
Man, you
throwing strays everywhere, man. Throwing strays everywhere.
Deep roots to Dubas still. Hey, he hurt you bad.
Buddy, I know it was unfair to compare him to David Koresh the way I did last year, but damn it, there are people still dying on that hill with Kyle Dubas. Look at what he's doing with the Pittsburgh Penguins, dude. He's burying Sidney Crosby. Poor Crosby just wants a 4th cup. He's going to have to go elsewhere to chase it.
Yeah, obviously, who thought they were going to get a cup this year regardless, but tough situation. I don't like the way he goes about his business. I don't like his hockey sense. I don't like the teams that he thinks I don't like the teams he builds that he thinks can win a Stanley Cup. Proofs in the pudding in Toronto. They drafted a lot of good players. They had a lot of homegrown talent. I think they managed their cap okay at certain times, but it got to the point where you put so many eggs in a basket that they were handcuffed and they weren't able to make a well-rounded playoff team. And the results spoke for themselves. So smell you later, Kyle Dubas. I just don't have as much hate towards him as maybe some people.
Matt C writes in 0.97% chance that happens. You are probably very, very correct. Did you see the whole Taylor Swift motorcade? That's what I want for Connor McDavid on Saturday, man. If they have to leave like treats in the guy's hotel room and dog food for life for his dog Lenny, I'm all about it, dude. Well, let's roll out the red carpet for 97 in Toronto, please.
How do you be that big as Taylor Swift and not just be an absolute weirdo? Like, just every second of every day, you have literally people fawning over you, cities coming to a halt, motorcades, police escorts. Like, that was embarrassing. That was more than the president of the United States moving down the road for
Pretty
this
much. Yeah.
pop singing girl. It's pretty wild, but I just can't believe how big that tour is. It's quite impressive. And again, she's just printing money. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine what that would look like.
Well, man, it's a full credit to her. Like she has so much money that her security team has been known to be like one of the top on the planet, right there with like the president of the U.S. Like you're telling me I've never seen the prime minister of Canada, we'll say, with that kind of motorcade, or even when the Pope visits, man. Like they cleared the Gardner in rush hour for this girl, man. Just think about that.
You kind of wonder why, like why I guess she can't be stuck in stop and go traffic and then people would probably get out of their cars and realize who it is. But if you're just in a blacked out SUV, I don't get why you can't just go down the road. Too dangerous. I don't know. It's a little over the top for me, but good for her. You're that big of a superstar, man. I don't know if
We'll never
McDavid would be
know.
at that level.
You're right. We'll never know, though. We'll never know how it feels to truly be somebody of that, where you can't even go outside. Like, I mean, just
Would
look at what happened in her tour in Vienna, man. Like, there was potential terrorist activity. Like, she can't do anything, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. You watch those
Yeah.
documentaries and people are like, "I'm too famous, man." And they go out with the paparazzi just hammering on them. Why wouldn't you have a little fake nose or a little wig or do something where you could cruise around incognito? I mean, you have access to all that stuff. Why wouldn't you have a little? I would be wearing a disguise all the time to go about my business like a normal person, but they just, I don't know. It's a different world, man. I'm glad I'm not part of it.
What would you wear? What would your disguise be? A
An
dress?
even bigger nose and maybe a chin or something, put some glasses on, a legit wig, and go grocery shopping, be a normal person for a while.
Yeah, you've really thought this out. Rest assured, you probably tried this act when you're a Maple Leaf, right? Because people are like, "Are you Jay Rosehill at the grocery store?" Like, my goodness,
It
wow,
happened maybe 2 times, like a liquor store or something. That was,
that's
like,
sick.
when I visited last year for the Hall of Fame, or not the Hall of Fame, for the
Really?
All-Star game, couple people, and then when I visited with my kid, a couple people noticed. I was like, "That's impressive." Like, you gotta be a diehard know-it-all to recognize me cruising down Toronto, but, I would never wanna have that level where you can't go about your business normally
No.
and just live your life.
To be honest, you're a pretty memorable guy. Like even when I started doing this podcast, we were pitching some names to be my co-hosts, and they brought you up, and I'm like, Jay Rosehill, I remember that guy. Like you were horned up every shift. So I think funny enough, Leafs fans remember those guys as opposed to like the soft pieces of baby shit that have been in with this team the last 20 years. Like I'm being serious. Like I think about Jamal Mayers, I think about Colton Orr, I think about you, I think about Fraser McLaren, like
Brownie?
guys who give me a bit of something, you know?
Mike Brown. I know. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get to Domi, but he could be
Yeah.
that guy. He wants to be
Mhm.
that guy. He's just off to a bit of a slow start. I kind of feel for Max Domi right now because he's got all that grit and guts and he wants to just be just a workhorse out there. He's willing to do anything and he's got the skill to do it. And he's one of those guys I'm waiting on to kind of round out this roster a little bit. I think people forget that when he's on, he makes a difference, and we haven't seen it yet for a single game this year. I don't
Yeah,
think.
it's wild when you look at Domi considering his start, man. And now he's like pointless in 11 straight. But there's a lot of factors that go into that. Certainly the fact that he's playing up the lineup right now. Like he's not signed to be the 1C of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But obviously without Austin Matthews, you have to elevate. And it just hasn't been there. And he's been very hesitant. We'll get into Domi coming up. Wanted to mention as well, we want to know what you like and don't like. What you want to see more on this show and how we can make the Leafs Nation your go-to destination for news. To help us achieve that goal, please click on the link in our chat. I'm about to post here and go to our show description on YouTube or podcast. We have several $250 Fanatics gift cards to give away. To be eligible, all you have to do is fill out the survey, which is pretty damn easy if you ask me, Rosie.
Yeah, in my opinion, you're doing it for a chance at a nice jersey because you get a $250 Fanatic gift card. You're getting the number 2-3 pasted on, and you're gonna cruise around T dot in that thing, and everyone will be giving you high fives, right?
That's exactly. It's either a nice jersey or a Jay Rosehill jersey. Like that's probably my two selections. And it's funny you bring that up because I was thinking about that the other day. I told you I stopped buying jerseys more so because of all the movement in the NHL these days. And it seems like you buy a jersey, a guy's traded or signs elsewhere like the next day. So I haven't done it in a long time. But I was thinking about this driving. Like if I had to get a Leafs jersey, I think it's Matthew Nyes right now.
100%, man. I
Yeah.
can't think of I like the obscure ones. Like
Yeah.
get a McCabe jersey, or I'd get a Benoit jersey, maybe.
Hawk and
Something
Paw.
different. Like you get Austin Matthews 34. Like, okay, yeah, there's a trillion of those in it. We know that guy. But get an obscure one from the past or something, I think is always cool.
Get a Hawk and Paw one. You'll be the very first guy in Toronto with a Yanni Hawk and Paw jersey. We're going to get to that conversation as well. So make sure you get your super chats in at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also, if you have any questions for today's guest, Goalie Campbell, regarding video review and all interference calls and stuff like that, please get those in. He's a really big time guest for us, and we're pumped to have him. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcasts. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Prime Monday Night Hockey on Prime Video is here, the exclusive home for the NHL on Monday nights in Canada. This coming Monday, November 18th, tune in as Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers visit Cole Caulfield and the Montreal Canadiens. You can watch Prime Monday Night Hockey on Prime Video at no added cost to your membership. Just check out the sports section when you're inside the app. If you currently don't have a membership with Prime, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial. Additionally, students are able to sign up for a 6-month free trial at amazon.ca/Amazon Prime. Prime Monday Night Hockey. It's on Prime. It's on Monday. So it's the Leafs and the Oilers coming up on Saturday, but most importantly, the news coming out today via Darren Dreger, no Austin Matthews on Saturday for the Maple Leafs, Rosie.
I know it makes you start to wonder about like the transparency with this team on what's going on. It seems like you're always just hanging in the wind and there's always major surprises. And I don't know if that's a theme with just the Toronto Maple Leafs or if that's just, the way it's gone recently with some of the injuries. You look back to the playoffs, you're like, what is going on? Stuff's coming out of left field at the worst possible time, raised a lot of eyebrows. And then, just a quick little day-to-day something rather for Austin. And is this 2 weeks will be going on? A week and a half, solid 5. I don't know what's going on with them. What's hurt is that like the next thing is, he requires surgery. It's like, well, what the hell happened? He was day to day, and now I don't know. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's just taking time, being stubborn. But it seems like we get surprised a lot with information that comes out of left field with this team and their injury status.
You're right. I think there's a variety of different ways I feel on this. First and foremost, I thought it was a little weird that he was skating last weekend after the injury and then all of a sudden stopped skating. And he's not practicing today, by the way. The other thing I would bring up is the schedule. I think it's important to bring that up first and foremost. Actually, they got 2 games in the next 9 days. So they have Edmonton Saturday. They got home to Vegas on Wednesday night, and then Utah's into town next Sunday. They actually have next Saturday night off. So in terms of the schedule, it makes a lot of sense. But the fact that he's not even skating kind of scares me, unless they're like, hey, just take some time off here.
I know, but when you have an upper body injury, why wouldn't you
No.
keep your legs under you? I mean, when you're at that level and you're playing that high octane of hockey every single day, if you ever get 2 days off in the season, say like at Christmas, when you come back, I mean, you feel a little out there. Your legs are kind of feeling funky and burn a little bit. The puck, it takes a second to kind of get it back. It doesn't take long, but if you have an upper body injury, why not just skate? And I guess maybe if he's skating, you want to touch a puck and that's aggravating it. And it's like, you know what? We had a bit of a setback. It's not healing the way we want. Let's just stay the hell off the ice, take this time in the schedule to get it right. And then we'll be good. I mean, that's as hopeful as you can get right now. But so far, it seems like it's probably been 2 setbacks, I would say, since his announcement of I'm not going to play right now. And it's not an ideal thing because, I don't want to say he's injury prone, but he certainly isn't an Iron Man.
You're right. I'm more conditioned now covering this team the way we have for a long period of time to take everything said about injuries with a grain of salt. Like, if you recall, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, Craig Berube came out and was asked if there's been a setback, and he said, not necessarily. What do you call this then? It's been a week later. He's not even skating. I think I call that a setback, Rosie.
Yeah, and I've seen guys in the training room getting treatment, and they kind of pop in and have a quick conversation with the trainer, and it's like, is he ready or is he not? And then the coach has got things to do. And, I don't know if he's like, his response is like, if you want to hang so much weight on his response, I think he's just like, not necessarily a setback. It's just not going exactly as planned. We thought it was more 3-4 days. It turned into 7. But yeah, not skating all of a sudden when you started off skating, there's absolutely been a setback.
You would think that way for sure. I saw a good one from Gary K. Hopefully, it's not Austin Embiid. Joel Embiid doesn't play back to backs in the NBA. Do you see that guy makes like $50 million a year?
He
Won't play
doesn't
back to
play
backs.
back to back.
Dude, go Google Joel Embiid. That guy is the
Why?
biggest joke of all time. He's the biggest joke of all time. He's the guy who cried. Remember when the Raptors beat them in Game 7, the Kawhi shot, and there was
Well,
like,
I know who he is, but I'm gonna
yeah,
Google him and just see who he is. I just that
oh, he's just a piece of work, man. He's an MVP. He just doesn't want to get to that next level. Like he's hasn't won shit. It's hilarious to me every year. Like now he came out and said like he got suspended because he like pretty much admitted he doesn't want to play in back to backs. Like he is such a joke in my world.
basketball is a much more individual sport. I mean, there is only like 12 guys, and one guy can carry a team right to the finals or win a championship. And it's just, I don't know, the culture of it. It's much more me than it is team. And it's just different than hockey. These guys, you hear about who was the last guy in the playoffs who was absolutely annihilated with like a broken rib and a torn wrist and a broken bone in his foot, and he's just playing through the playoffs. And those basketball players would never do it because it's more about me, my career, my contract, my status, my worth, my value, all that stuff. And not playing back to backs as a $50 million guy, that sums it up for you. That proves it.
Yeah, and producer Andy stating in our group chat here that he's actually played 100 games in the last 2 years. The last 2 seasons, 100 games. They play 82 a year, I believe, in the NBA. So
It's very similar to hockey schedule wise. Yeah, that's embarrassing, man. I'm glad we're not like that because it'd be frustrating as hell. Imagine putting like the faith that Leafs Nation puts into a team, and Joel Embiid is, your leader, and he won't even play basketball 2 nights in a row. Like, get out of here, man. Who wants you? Who are you gonna go to war and win with these guys if you're an owner or if you're part of that team or if you're even a fan? You want that guy leading the charge trying to get you to the promised land. He'll quit as soon as it gets a little bit hard personally. Bad character, man. Bad character.
if I had to make a list of softest athletes of all time, Joel Embiid would be on that list. I don't know if you saw the stunt he pulled over the summer. All of a sudden, he was American, had to play on Team USA to get his gold medal for his memory and his Hall of Fame bid.
Where was he born?
I want to say Cameroon. Maybe somebody in the chat can help me. Somewhere out there. And
Wants to win, so plays for USA.
I think he played basketball in France growing up. Like there's a story to this, but all of a sudden he's American and he's on Team USA. Like it was wild.
Well, when you
There
got
it
a guy
is.
like
It's Cameroon.
LeBron James leading the charge and setting the example for everyone in the league, you're gonna
Oh,
go
here we
to
go. Hey,
that.
I forgot to get your reaction. We have Coley Campbell coming up. I forgot to get to your reaction. Did you see what's going on with Bronny James in the development league now? He's only playing home games, so he's not going on the road with the team
Why?
because he's Bronny James, dude.
Nope, nobody knows, eh?
Nobody knows why that is the case.
I'm glad this league's not like that one. That's just pure entitlement right there. LeBron just does his things, and now his boy, he's just rolled out the red carpet. You do whatever you want, sweetheart. You're my sweet little son.
I love your takes on LeBron James. Let's get to today's guest. We're so fired up to have him. Just went into the Hockey Hall of Fame in the builder category, current EVP and Director of Hockey Operations for the NHL. It is Coley Campbell. Coley, thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
Good. You guys?
We're fantastic, Coley. Has it sunk in yet? You're in the Hockey Hall of Fame, man. That's so cool.
It was kind of sinking in. Then the next day started, and we had 4 reviews in the Leaf game, and I got a couple calls from other GMs, and right back to normal.
I
So
can imagine.
that's it.
Speaking of those reviews, there's different ones. Goalie interference. There was, a penalty that had to get pulled back. There's high sticking. There's kicking motion. You kind of had the realm of it there in that Toronto game. What's the hardest call in your experience to review?
First of all, it's hardest in the playoffs when you can't you can't you can't correct it. It happens in game 5, and it's the wrong call. Something it's just uncorrectable. The calls, it depends, like people think the blue line is black and white. It's not. It's really difficult when you're between frames. You'd like to have more frames per second, and you got the skate and the puck, and usually you refer to the fact that it was called okay on the ice, and you have to prove it offside or wrong to overturn it. Goaltender challenges. It's we're all anybody, as you guys know, you're involved in sports, and you mention the word challenge, and then you're ready to fight. And so when a coach challenges it, and we try to tell them, guys, like, we're the ones that make the decision in Toronto. Don't kill the referees when they come over and deliver the message to you. And but when they make a challenge, they expect to win, and they're not happy when they don't win their challenge. And they're the ones that banged on us for 3 years back in 16, 17, and 18, 2016. They wanted to change the game and allow things to be corrected. We said, fine. And my boss said, be careful what you wish for. And we're trying to perfect the system. We try to perfect the game. All sports are trying to perfect the calls, because it's so clear now. On even if you're sitting at home having a beer, your legs crossed and watching the game, you got a big screen TV, you got high definition, you got all the views. You almost have the same tools as the people making the calls. So sometimes people think, well, they have other views. We don't have a lot of other views. And a lot of times when it takes longer than you want, we're waiting for TV to come back with maybe another view they have. So, and it's really important to note, when this was introduced and it hasn't changed, the goaltender challenge, the coach's challenge on the involving goaltender interference, it's you're not looking at a clean canvas when you review it. What you're looking at is you're reviewing the referee's original call, and does he want to change that once he sees video evidence? So it's not a clean canvas. What did he see, and should he change his call? So we've got a saying, it's got to be dead wrong to overturn the referee's original call, and that's what you're looking at. So I don't know if I could kind of pinpoint it to one difficult situation. They're all difficult. Even the high stick, we allow the call on the ice, and then we got to make sure that it is 100% for sure high. And you would hope that you think with chips in the puck, et cetera, we could revert to like tennis when they have the ball and they show you the review. But we've tried that. We're not there yet on perfection. So we go with a call on the ice, and we would rather them say, okay, good goal, and we'll prove it too high. And just we want more goals in this game if possible. That's where we're at with the kick puck. We've really loosened that up as to unless the guy's kicking a 40-yard field goal, we allow all pucks off of skates almost.
I was going to say the process. What does it look like? So you referenced the nice high stick. What does that process look like? So the goal goes in, and take me from there. What happens?
The goal goes in. It's our job to stop the game. We tell them we have contact with the video room upstairs and the penalty bench to official timers area. And we ask them to stop the game, open the door, blow the buzzer. We want to look at this further. We bring the referee over, and they huddle on the ice. They're instructed to huddle on the ice, the four of them. There's someone got a better view here before they talk to us. And then we're looking at it. We're trying to get all views. And of course, we're hoping that broadcast, who's ever doing the game, sends us more views. We're trying to get as many as we can. And then we show it to the referee, and we ask him what he saw in real life, 3D vision. And we're looking at it, and those are funny. You get different camera views of it, and they tell you a different story. And so, truth be known, we would have we would have liked them to call that one good goal and then prove that it wasn't. But they see it once and they allowed it, and so we bring them over and they said, "Did you see enough here to disallow it?" And so we let them have good input on that. We make the final call in Toronto, the group of us, and only based on us. We're not trying to uh, be overbearing or be God when it comes to making these decisions, apart from the referees. But we see everyone and we try to come up with consistency. Now, we get lots of criticism that we're not consistent, but we try to be as consistent as possible. And there's usually four of us that are involved in these calls on any given night. And myself and Chris King are probably involved in 95% of that other 5%. We need a little bit of a life to get away. As you know, there's 32 teams. There's games every night from 7 o'clock to 1:30 in the morning, and Saturday and Sundays they go usually from noon until about 1 in the morning. So it's tough to be on everyone. So
Obviously, a very difficult job to do. There's so much nuance from one situation to the next. Is there any talk about updating the hardware as far as, like you said, can you get cameras with more frames per second so you can get that high def, or getting a camera in every rink that's perfectly at the crossbar height so you can really see if that stick came over the crossbar height or not, or any of the hardware aspect of things?
technologically, we've advanced pretty good. Like we tried cameras in the posts about 10 inches up,
Right.
and they were just screened too much by the goaltender's movement. So we moved those two cameras in the crossbars about 5 inches in on both sides and straight down, so you get a good view of the goal line. We've got two cameras on both blue lines. We got an overhead camera on both blue lines. We've got an in-net camera and a behind-the-net camera. And if you go to a TV truck, you know, every camera requires a tape machine, and every tape machine, and then they require someone to look at that view. So they can only take so many views, even in the most advanced TV trucks. It's just like maybe for the Super Bowl and the Stanley Cup Final, they bring on more people, more trucks. So, and we've got probably 22 views now. We have a system called Hawkeye. It's from the Hawkeye that originated with the tennis business, and each video guy in each rink has that Hawkeye installed, and so he has the ability to call up something like 22 different shots, cameras. So we hope that the cameras get better. There is a, believe it or not, there is a budget to these things. You only spend so much, and we spent a lot of money on it, and we're always looking for a better mousetrap, and we're looking for better technology, and the best would be and we've been working on it. Every puck, as what they used to cost 25 cents, now they cost like 45, $50 for the hardware you put inside those pucks that allow the tracking, the speed of a puck, and the next thing is to be able to somehow track that puck across the goal line and the height of a crossbar. And we're constantly working on that with our IT people. So to your question, it's a good question, and we're leaning on technology as much as possible to make those decisions more, I guess, easier for us, but more importantly, cleaner, more understandable for everyone out there.
Coley, how about the Lorentz shin pad goal? What'd you guys see there? You think there'll ever be a day where something like that counts?
No, I don't think so. I think, one point in time, I think I was still coaching, was 96 or 7. I remember the puck hit Ray Ferraro's skate at the face-off dot and deflected in like a 30-foot deflection, and that didn't count. Since then, the league has turned around and almost counted all pucks off of skates other than the real obvious distinct kicking motion. This one, again, that'd have to be a real change, and the process goes. We discuss it, and it's set out, and we had a managers meeting Tuesday morning in Toronto. I said to them, look, don't forget, go back, guys, discuss with their coaching staffs, anything you want to look at, you want to change, or you think about making the game better, rule changes. Come back in March. We have a 3-day meeting in March. Then we come up with the rule changes. If we have any rule changes, we take it to a competition committee, which has 5 of our managers, and there's 5 players on that competition committee. And then if we both agree to it, finally got to take it to the board of governors, who they'll rubber stamp it if it comes to the competition committee. So I don't know if that would really change. I've had different people ask if just allow all high sticks, doesn't matter what. Who knows what the players will come up. You're never sure what comes out of these rule changes. And how things can change from a simple rule change. Like when we voted in the offside review, you never knew this. The delay and the some of the different aspects to tag ups play into that, and it's hard to understand. But I think you guys have seen different tag up rules that are called onside and they look offside, but the way they tag up, they're acceptable. So, a long answer to your question. I don't think bunted in pucks will ever change, but who knows?
And something else that's very difficult. I know it's not your department right now, more George Peros, but you've been very much involved in, the suspension processes and specifically on illegal checks. I've always noticed that when a guy gets a tough head hit and whatnot, sometimes I'm frustrated that the puck carrier has put themselves in a vulnerable position, whether they turn their back or they go right through traffic with their leading their head, almost to the point where they feel like they're unhittable because they're leading with their head, but it's still a full contact sport. What's the league's take on obviously not letting guys contact players' heads, but also is there an onus on the puck carrier to protect yourself as well?
What was your first year in the league?
2009,
And you retired?
14.
Right. So my first year in the league in pro was 73.
Yeah.
Were you born? Was your
85.
dad born? And
He's a similar age
so
to you, my dad.
so I did the discipline for 10 years, and I'd watch these things, and it was a little crazier back in the 90s. Well, it was really crazy in the 70s. You could get away with murder. Well, there was murder, but um, I would say several times I'm looking at a discipline and I'm going, the guy took a run and he might have jumped, but I want to suspend the other guy 3 games for being goofy and stupid and not being. Look, you have the puck, and someone's going to get there in a hurry. Protect yourself. And if it's a fourth line out there, yourself. You weren't charged with scoring. You were charged with making a difference. Get in there, make a hit. Change the way the game's going. And so you say sometimes, like, what is he doing? He turned back at the last moment. And what is you can't you got to beat on this guy as a hitter. It's hard. It's hard to all of a sudden stop. And like, it's easy when you look on the replays, super slow motion. Frame,
Yeah.
but you're out there and you're going 100 miles an hour. So there certainly is an onus on that. We probably got a little bit too far, in my own opinion. I don't want to speak for George. Just doing it, and I used to get upset, and I think that's probably a responsibility of the coaches, to talk to their players and say, guys, you got to look after yourself too. Don't put yourself in a tough spot. You're out there, and Austin Matthews isn't going to run you. Austin Matthews is coming in. You better hold on to the puck. But you go to the fourth line, 75 there for Toronto. What's his name?
Ryan
Revo.
Reeves. Yeah.
Reeves. He ain't coming to get the puck. He's on you. So be ready for the hit. Get yourself braced. Get in the right place on the boards. And so I think that's one thing we should teach at the minor hockey level. The kids, there's a certain age when they're gonna when they start hitting, they should be taught more so how to take a hit than to give a hit. Get themselves at the right place along the boards. Don't be 3 feet out. Get tight against the boards. Get your arm up against the boards. Absorb the hit the right way. So I agree with you 100%.
Coley, I was just going to ask you to wrap again, an illustrious career. You've worn so many different hats in your time in this league. What's been your favorite role and why?
Probably being a father of a hockey player.
I like
on,
that.
on the good days, not the bad days.
Yeah.
We had a dinner and my son spoke, and he just spoke about the tough times. Like on the ice there, he wore the brunt of some of my decisions many a night, and so that's the way it is on the ice. And he was good for that. Uh, but I got to tell you, Gary Bettman takes a lot of flack, and he could be a player in this game. He's loyal and he has your back regardless. And so that's what all players and hockey people like, someone who has their back. And when you're out there, uh, it's a tough game. And if your teammates are loyal, and so I've worked for a loyal guy in that sense. And I had the opportunity to go back along this stretch of with the league and different times. And you're not sure you can get the loyalty all the time from organizations, but working with Gary, he's been real loyal to me. So I've enjoyed that part working the National Hockey League.
In general, very important in life. That's a really good life lesson as well. Well, Coley, once again, congratulations. Thank you again, I should say, for doing this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show, guys. Take care. Good luck.
My
Thanks,
pleasure.
Colin.
Take care.
Thank you.
There's Coley Campbell, the EVP and Director of Hockey Operations for the NHL. Really intricate breakdown, which is really cool. And obviously just went into the Hockey Hall of Fame, which is really damn cool too.
Yeah, and that's awesome to hear their point of view, because there's so much bitching going on about the league and Batman and getting it right and getting it wrong. It's like, man, anyone that's on their couch complaining, okay, here's the keys to here's the review truck, away you go. And you get situation like in Toronto the other night. It's like, oh my God, like what was the call? And can we pull it back? And it's easier to pull it back if they called it this and that and different views. And you want to wait a few, and people are bitching that it took 2 minutes to review it. Well, you want to get it right. And like, what's 2 minutes of your time? It's more exciting waiting with bated breath to see what it's going to be. I don't have a problem with it. And after talking to him and seeing where they're at with it, it's just not an easy job, and no two calls are the same, and you don't want to go against what you did last week. A very difficult job, and it's cool to get his perspective. And I really like his take on what's a legal hit and what's not. And so many times half the crowd's up in arms about a bad hit, and everyone's looking at the guy that hit him, and it's like, why don't you look at the puck carrier? Like, what did he do to avoid getting hit in the head? Absolutely zero. He was an idiot about it. And Colin totally put an exclamation mark on that. It's nice with a guy that's had that job before to have that point of view, that they're conscious of that as well.
Well, if you appreciate more interviews like that, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, that like button at the Leafs Nation 401, and we'll continue to bring them to you. Again, don't forget to find us in podcast form as well. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Also, don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. So we get set for the Leafs and Oilers Saturday night. Again, no Austin Matthews in the lineup. He'll miss his 6th consecutive game. They are 4-1-0 without him, which is a pleasant surprise. 8 for 19 on the power play, but I don't think this is a tough one to get up for, regardless if you have your captain or not, if you're the Maple Leafs with McDavid in town, right?
No, I don't think so. You better be prepared. You've had a couple of days rest. They're on a heater. You know that. They are the Edmonton Oilers. They were in the finals, almost won the cup last year. McDavid is who he is. Draisaitl's on fire. And like I said, they're on a 3-game heater. So you better be ready to play in your building. And, again, they're getting probably used to being without Austin Matthews a little bit, but there's a hole in your lineup there. And it's time for people to step up, and it's time for the depth to step up and contribute. And whether that's energy shifts or cycling it in the ozone, or getting more shots or chances, or chipping in with some goals, or getting a Holmberg goal, or McMahon continues to be steady and strong, or get Domi off, this monkey off his back. Something's got to give here where, you got to get contributions from everybody, and there's a really good team coming to town. So yeah, I hope they're prepared for it. They certainly should be.
No question who starts, right? Stoli?
Yeah, Stoltender, the goaltender, you got to go with him. Wool's chipping away, and he looked pretty damn good. And I love that huge save on number 8. Ovechkin coming down with the time and the space to wire one home, and he kicks out a huge save that led to the game-winning goal. So they're coming off a high, and they shouldn't be down on themselves. And they stole 2 points, you could say, in Washington, and now they got to be ready to get into the fight here in Edmonton. And it's going to be a grind, not an easy game, and be ready for it.
The schedule's interesting though because they don't play until Wednesday, and I don't even know if Ilya Samsonov is healthy, but that's his return to Scotiabank Arena, and I think he is gaining closer to a return for Vegas. I think it would add some intrigue to that game coming up on Wednesday. But does that mean you go to Wall on Wednesday? Like you can't have him not play for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
Yeah,
wrong with
so you're giving
Stoli on
Stolars 8 days
Saturday and then
off then.
Stoli, how many?
You would give him 8 days off then. Like it's a weird schedule, man. They play Saturday at home to Edmonton, then they're home to Vegas on the Wednesday. Then they're not, playing again until next Sunday. So you're
But that
getting
yeah,
Stolar's 8 days off. It's crazy. Yeah,
that's fine. I think
yeah.
Stoli for the big Saturday game at home with the Edmonton Oilers coming in. He's your kind of number 1A right now. He's playing the best, and there's nothing wrong with Wednesday going to Wool. And if there's an 8 days off for Stoli, then good. He's used to playing 29 games a year. He's not going to be used to playing 45 or 48 or whatever he's going to come up with this year, maybe less, but depends what happens with injuries and play. But that's just fine. He's no stranger to having 8 days off in between NHL starts. So I don't have a problem with that at all. He's proven he can play a bunch this season, and he's obviously, his entire career, he's had spells where he's not playing for periods of time, playing behind Bobber and those types of goalies. So I think it's perfect for a Stoli Wool week.
Okay, Rosie, it's time for another edition of Take It or Leaf It. Are you ready?
Yeah, I like these.
Pretty standard by now. Take it means yes. Leaf it means no. At least 3 of the core 4 will end up being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame one day. Take it or leaf it.
Oh, that's so hard. 3 out of 4. I say you take it. The league. I think Matthews is an automatic. Like, what if Tavares retired today? Do you think he gets in?
I was wondering that he'd get recognition, like strong recognition.
I think it's very close. And then, so let's just say he's in. Well, there's 2. And then, I mean, between Willie and Marner, I think that one of them could easily, do great things in the latter part of their career. And they're right in their prime right now. They're both superstars. So I tend to look at the positive, and I'll say I'll take it.
I'm going to go with take it. There's a reason why I worded this question that way, but I think your breakdown was bang on. Matthews is a no doubter. And I think there's a couple guys on the cusp already. All 3 of the other guys, like JT, I think is going to be a bubble guy, but if he continues to produce at a point per game for the next couple years, and maybe he wins some hardware, you never know. I think that Stanley Cup is elusive for a lot of players trying to enter the Hockey Hall of Fame, but he's done some great things for a great period of time. And then the way like Marner's trending and Nylander, like if these guys just continue to put up close to 100 points per season for the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, like point totals alone, that at least gets you into the conversation. I mean, let's not lie about this. These guys are Toronto Maple Leafs. These guys are put up here. Let's be honest about that too, right?
Well, yeah, when you look back at, and I don't know exactly all the protocols that go into getting chosen, but the people that are looking, it's like you're looking at the stat sheet and the pages, but it's your memory too. What do I remember about the player? What kind of impact did he have on the
Yeah.
game? And I mean, if you do things of importance in Toronto, it just stands out. It's the biggest market. It's got the biggest following. It carries a little extra weight, and it's more difficult to do in that city, if you ask my opinion. So I think that it certainly doesn't help them to be longtime NHL, or it doesn't hurt them to be longtime Toronto Maple Leafs if you're eventually trying to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Man, you know what's interesting? In like 15 years from now, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're still doing this podcast, and we could look back at the careers of these guys and be like, man, all 4 of those guys are going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame or in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, just think about that.
It'd be funny, eh? It'd be weird.
But they're that talented. Like, they're that talented to even be involved in a conversation like that. Anyways, we roll on. Number 2, Austin Matthews will finish his career with more goals than both Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky. Take it or leaf it.
I'm going to leaf it. No offense to Austin Matthews, and he could, I don't know. But the biggest thing to me, and we talked about it already right now, is he healthy? No, he is not. And he has a tendency, not a tendency, but he's not made of steel. He's not an Iron Man. And Alex Ovechkin, to even sniff Gretzky's record, he has to be an absolute horse. And that man is. And he plays at a level, he has to score like an absolute maniac for close to 20 years and play lots of games per season, not have a big hiccup with a head injury and a wrist thing that bothers him and get surgery on this and that. That guy is a machine. And for that, and then that clapper from that one side is just like nothing anyone's seen before. For that reason, he's gonna do it. And I just don't see Austin being able to go at that clip, if for nothing else, just probably not being able to stay healthy into your 40s doing it at that clip.
Admittedly, the timing of this question stunk, so I take full blame for that because Matthews is banged up. If he's on a heater scoring 9 goals in 3 games, I think we're both probably taking it. But I'm going with you. I'm going with Leafit. Again, echoing everything you just said. The stability and the longevity is what makes Alex Ovechkin so damn amazing. Look at what he's doing this year. He's got like 10 goals in 15 games. There's no question in my mind Matthews can get to that level where he's scoring that many goals, and it helps when you're scoring like 70 a year, it seems. But it's more like how many years can he do it? Like right now, and this is no shade or shot at Austin Matthews. Can you picture this guy playing at like 39, 40? I can't.
Like, not really. When you watch Ovi, I mean, if you've seen his body, his legs, he's so big. He's just
It's
an
tough.
absolute truck. He's as
Yeah.
durable as it gets. And I don't know what he's doing in the summer to help complement that. But his program and his regime is working wonders. And the guy just is a ball of energy and power and strength that just doesn't know how to quit. And he's been like that since the second he stepped in the league. And right now to this day, he is still just this explosive ball of energy, and that leads to durability. I mean, you'd think he would get hurt playing that way, but he's not. I mean, I've ran into him before. He's like a brick shit house. It's very impressive, and Austin's just not built that way. He doesn't play that way, and I don't know if you can keep that magic that he had last year, for example, on for another. What would he have to do it for? Another 12, 13 years? And he's hurt right now, and he's been hurt last year, and he's missed time with injuries. I just don't think he has the durability to go at that clip for that long.
Matthew Knies will be a team's captain at some point in his NHL career. Take it or leave it, Rosie.
I got to take that, man. He's young as could be. He's in his second year in the National Hockey League. He's got all the right stuff. He's learning at a clip that I don't think you could compare him to too many guys. Like how he's exploded on the scene and adapted to the NHL, and the way he plays is kind of like follow me. He does everything right, and he's got the goods and the ability to back it up. And I think that, when this era is over and John Tavares is no longer playing, I'm not sure how long Austin Matthews, like maybe Matthews plays 15 more years with the Leafs, then it'll be difficult. But I just think that there will be a way at some point in time that guy is at the helm of this organization. And I think it would probably be well-deserved if that day comes.
Are you prognosticating a press conference in late August in the year 2035 where Austin Matthews hands a C off to Matthew Knies that we were telling me?
I was going to say that could happen one day.
And all the legends are going to be there. John Tavares is going to talk about growing pains and lessons, and we're going to sing Kumbaya after the Leafs win 3 cups in 10 years. Is that your feel?
Sundin will come back to TO with a walker and put his jersey on with Vince Carter again and recreate some old photos. Hey, it lines up, man. It's adding up.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Leaf It. Selfishly, I was going to say shellfishly. Selfishly, I want Knies to be a Leaf for life. The only problem with him wearing the C in Toronto, there's some guy named Austin Matthews, who I also want to be a Leafs for life. And I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to judge the future if Matthew Knies at the age of 34 is still equipped enough to be a captain. Maybe he's the next Nick Foligno for all we know. But I'm going to Leaf it just based on the feel that Knies and Matthews are here long-term, and Austin Matthews is Austin Matthews, and he's wearing the C for the rest of eternity. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's okay. That's a good thought to have. I just know that when you look down the road, things happen, and Wayne Gretzky was traded. Anyone can get
don't
traded
start this. No.
or leave or do things. Things happen. It's not very often one player spends an entire Hall of Fame career with one organization. And if that is the case here as well, I think it could be at some point, like you said, it could be in 2035 where it gets passed down to someone who's more suited to lead the team, just like it happened with Tavares and Matthews. I don't know. I just have a feeling one day that guy's going to have a heavy left shoulder.
Fair enough. It's time for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, all in uppercase today. Kudos to our guy, Zach Phillips, in the chat right now. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, man. He just gets in the chat and he mixes it up with the great folks in our chat. So we appreciate that. But you called the Bob McMahon anytime goal last game. So I want to hear what Zach's thinking for Saturday night's game. Don't forget to check in to the Leafs Nation after dark following the game against the Oilers coming up on Saturday as well. But before we get to the Leafs game, I wanted to get your pick for the Tyson match tonight.
I don't know. It kind of seems like Tyson's actually pissed off. And I know it's all promotion and all that type of thing, but I got to go with Jake Paul. I mean, I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay.
I would love for Tyson to win, but he's like 50 years old. And I sometimes wonder if those things are rigged. And I think it makes all the sense in the world as, this is kind of Tyson's last hurrah. If he wins, he would have to go do another one. I think it's just set up for Paul to continue on. Tyson will take his money and put up a good fight, but I just think it's kind of set up for Paul to be the winner of that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. It's coming up tonight, I believe. It's tough to bet against Mike Tyson. I don't care if he's 3,000 years old. There's a screw loose in that guy's head. And you can speak to this having fought for real and for keeps, right? There's only one way Mike Tyson knows how to fight, and that's for keeps. I don't care if it's for charity, whatever, publicity. Like, we even saw it the weigh-in yesterday. I guess he got pissed off because Paul stepped on him or his toe touched him and he slapped him, man. Like, Tyson's a different cloth, dude.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's a different person now than he was. He had a lot of demons back then when he was an absolute killer. And I think he's much more mellow as you tend to get into your 50s and doesn't quite have that killer instinct, but he's a beast. I think he'll put up a fight. I just think I don't know. I have a little inclination of those things being predetermined, which I don't love to say, but I think it's set up for Paul, but time will tell. I hope I get to watch.
6-hole writes in, Rosehill's worst call ever. Zach Phillips, give me a Willie anytime goal. I like that. My prognostication, you're going to laugh. I think the Leafs win in a laugher. I think they embarrass Edmonton without McDavid.
Why are they
without Matthews? Sorry,
without
Matthews, yeah.
I know. I mean, I thought that was going to happen when Matthews first came out for sure. I thought it was obvious that they follow that trend. Everyone had pulled themselves up and elevate. And now that they're getting used to it, I know you see some hiccups. I don't know what's going to happen. Edmonton is very similar. I've said for a couple of years now, Edmonton's extremely similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs in that their good is very good, but they can be inexplicably bad sometimes. They've got head over heels talent up front, but sometimes you can't just win relying on that. They're fairly inconsistent, so we will see what happens. It's going to be a battle, and if both teams have their best, it'll be a hell of a game.
Edmonton's fragile, man. I'm telling you, like, even watching that game on Thursday night, like, Nashville stinks, man. That team's awful, and they let them back in the game. They can't get a save. They had Pickard going, Stu Skinner and Hockey Night in Canada. That's at least 5.5 goals. And I think the Oilers just struggle against structure. If the Leafs just play their game and bore them to hell, I think they bury them. That's just my feel. Could easily come back the other way, and I know it's dumb saying this against McDavid, the way he's been playing the last little while. Draisaitl's been good, and I think it's always a safe bet to look at Zach Hyman anytime goal props, but I feel really comfortable in where the Leafs are at, but this structure specifically, I think if you can just get to the Oilers, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, and again, I've said before, I think these Leafs need to worry about themselves. If they play their game and show up prepared to play, they're going to have success. So you just got to hope that they're on the same page as that. And, they'll take care of business if they play their own game and bring their best this year has been phenomenal. So do that and you got her.
Which Toronto Maple Leafs team will show up on Saturday night? I am braving the elements, by the way, of all this Taylor Swift hoopla. I'm going to head down to the game. I've got to press pass for that one. I didn't want to miss it. The Oilers in town once a year. Let's do it.
I would if I was you too. Let me know how it goes.
Sounds good. Shout out to my boy Adam Enrique. I might play the anytime goal. Family and friends are going to be in the building for that one now in Edmonton Oilers. Real struggle for him to start the year. Just a goal and assist so far. But obviously, you're taking the back seat to a bunch of different players when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers. So, Rosie, we'll leave it at that. Lots to discuss. Next week, we're going to talk about the quarter poll. Can you believe we're a quarter into the regular season already? We will be after Wednesday's game.
Yeah, that went way too fast, man. Christmas will be here before you know it. We'll be at the halfway point. Then you'll be talking trade deadline and playoffs are around the corner. It's crazy. We just got out of training camp, but yeah, time's ticking.
In real time, it's so slow because what's the one thing I bring up in training camp? Call me up in the springtime. Still feel that way, even with this beautiful mustache that is rolling. And what are your thoughts on the Muzzy as we hit the midway point here?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's strong, it's thick, it's heavy, it matches the eyebrows. I mean,
Stop
it's just
it.
better than anything I could do, man. Is it getting thicker as time goes on?
Yeah, it is. It's really building in. I mean, there's a chance I might come on the show next week and it'll be a bit darker, just for men's in the
Yes.
conversation right now. I'm just curious. I haven't done it in a couple years. It stains like your face too. You done just for men before?
No, but
It stains your face, dude. It's a bitch to like get out. I've done it in the past and it was tough. It was tough.
we'll just brush it on the hair and not on your lip.
Yeah, I'm pretty, dude. You easier said than done. I tried it a couple years in a row and just like the stainage, just like it makes it even look thicker and darker. So
Good. That's what I'm looking for.
perfect. Okay, so again, tune into the Leafs Nation After Dark with Zach Phillips tomorrow night. Leafs and the Oilers. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Monday's show. Many thanks to Coley Campbell for dropping by today's show to break down what's transpired the last couple of days, specifically when it comes to all the hoopla in Washington. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Many thanks to producer Andy. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Monday. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com.